2.39, the most famous verse. Esha te bihita sankye buddhiryoge tvimam shuno buddhya yukto yaya partha karma bandham prahasyasi. Thus far I have described this knowledge to you through analytical study. Now listen as I explain it in terms of working without fruitive results. O son of Pritha, when you act in such knowledge, you can free yourself from the bondage of works. Bondage of works is karma bandham prahasyasi. Analytical studies, Sankhya. Now Buddhi Yoga. I explain in terms of Buddhi Yoga. Prabhupada has translated Buddhi Yoga as work without fruitive results. Intelligence in work, using intelligence in work without fruitive result. Okay. Purport. According to the Nirukti or the Vedic dictionary, Sankhya. So there are two words here, Sankhya and Sankhya. Sankhya means that which describes things in detail. Sankhya, count. Sankhya refers to that philosophy which describes the real nature of the soul. So Sankhya means counting, describes things in detail, and Sankhya refers to which describes the real nature of the soul. And yoga involves Indriya Samyama, controlling the senses. Arjuna's proposal not to fight was based on sense gratification. Why? Because he thought that he's going to be happy by not fighting. So that is for sense gratification, not for pleasure of Krishna. Forgetting his prime duty, which was to fight, he wanted to cease fighting because he thought that by not killing his relatives, he would be happier than by enjoying the kingdom after conquering his cousins and brothers, the sons of Dhritarashtra. So this was sense gratification. In both ways, the basic principles were for sense gratification. Right? So fight or not fight was only sense gratification. Happiness derived from conquering them and happiness derived by seeing kinsmen alive are both on the basis of personal sense gratification, even at sacrifice of wisdom and duty. Krishna therefore wanted to explain to Arjuna that by killing the body of his grandfather, he would not be killing the soul proper. And he explained that all individual persons, including the Lord himself, are eternal individuals. They were individuals in the past, individuals in the present, and they will continue to remain individuals in the future because all of us are individual souls eternally. We simply change our bodily dress in different manners, but actually we keep our individuality even after liberation from the bondage of material dress. An analytical study of the soul and the body has been very graphically explained by Lord Krishna. And this descriptive knowledge of the soul and the body from different angles of vision has been described here as Sankhya in terms of Nirukti dictionary. This Sankhya has nothing to do with the Sankhya philosophy of the atheistic Kapila. Long before the impostor Kapila's Sankhya, the Sankhya philosophy was expounded in the Srimad Bhagavatam by the true Lord Kapila, the incarnation of Lord Krishna, who explained it to his mother Devahuti. It is clearly explained by him that the Purusha or the Supreme Lord is active and that he creates by looking over the Prakriti. This is accepted in the Vedas and in the Gita. The description in the Vedas indicates that the Lord glanced over the Prakriti or nature and impregnated it with atomic individual souls. All these individuals are working in the material world for sense gratification and under the spell of material energy. They are thinking as being enjoyers. This mentality is dragged to the last point of liberation when the living entity wants to become one with the Lord. This is the last layer of snare of Maya or sense gratificatory illusion. And it is only after many, many births of such sense gratificatory activities that a great soul surrenders unto Vasudeva. Vasudeva Sarvamiti Sa Mahatma Sudurlabha, thereby fulfilling the search after the ultimate truth. Okay, any questions? Very long purport, so that's why I'm doing piecemeal. No questions?
What do we mean by graphical explanation? So it's mentioned that the soul and the nature of the body is graphically explained.
Yeah, Krishna has added little bit Color. Graphically means like he's described, no? Like it is smaller, greater, bigger, not cannot be cut. I mean, graphical means like more descriptive, like you can picturize. Graphically, in dictionary, if you look at graphical, what is graphical? Relating to or in the form of a graph, or relating to visual art or computer graphics, equivalent to graphics. So it is something that you can picturize. Basically, if you look at all these Atma and these verses of Atma Gnan, it is describing size of the soul, it is describing characteristics of the soul, it cannot be burnt, it cannot be, so it's like, it's just graphical because there is description about that you can visualize. That's all I can understand. I mean,
Yeah.
Krishna?
Yeah.
Prabhu, this merging with the Lord, that is the last snare of Maya, you said, right? My doubt is why this merging with Lord is more popular than serving the Lord as a great individual. What is the difficulty in understanding Lord is different and individual soul is different and doing the service?
Because we came here to not do service. Right? So we want to continue that thought process. So by becoming one with the Lord, we don't have to do any service. So service is not popular, no, because we are here to become masters. So becoming one with the Lord means, because again, I am becoming the master. So that is what I came here to do. So that is the last snare. Saying now you become one with the Lord, so then you become the Lord yourself. So you achieved it. Service means lower position, right? You are not the master, you are servant. You don't have any position. But we didn't come here for that. We came here to become masters. So Maya is helping us to reach that position. And this is the ultimate position, right? Becoming one with the Lord. There can't be anything more than thinking that I am equal to the Lord. Okay.
Yes, Prabhu. But is that like it's like a vasana from previous life means?
Not previous life, previous
from
multiple lives. I mean, we've been living for this only, right? Yeah, I mean, we came to this material world for this only. To compete with the Lord, to envy Krishna, why you should be the only enjoyer. So now we are looking at ways, okay, now how can I get closer to Krishna in terms of position? So then Maya says, hey, by the way, you can merge with Krishna. Oh, is it? Okay. Serve Krishna? No. Lower position. I didn't come here to serve. I left that serving position in Vaikuntha and came here. And over lifetime, we've been just looking to do this only. Somehow or the other, become master. Compete with Krishna. Become equal to Krishna. So Maya offers it. So it's very appealing.
And then denying the Lord existence of God altogether, where does that fall?
Denying the existence of Lord means what? Atheism. As in not believing in that there is a Supreme Lord. That everything is by chance.
Because that also Jiva was only doing that, the mental process also.
Yeah, but that is just stupidity, right? As in, I'm saying there is nothing like, I mean, you just want to be independent. That's also, you're just coming up with some logic saying that, it's all, there's no controller. You can do whatever you want. It's just stupidity, right? That's all, nothing else. Atheism is basically you don't want to come under any control. You don't want any superior. Right? In one way, it is competing with Krishna in the sense I completely reject you. But that's not so much fun as much as becoming one with him. Right? Now what we can't get, we reject. Right? So if I can't become Krishna, so I'm rejecting Krishna. But now Maya is saying, no, don't reject Krishna. Become one with Krishna. So then you're like, okay, this is more appealing.
So religion, existence of God, everything will be there, but final goal is becoming Krishna.
To become God,
not serving him.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Arjuna has accepted as already.
Sorry, bro. But this Mayavad is nothing but atheism only, right? In one way or other.
Mayavadi.
As long whatever religion it is.
Mayavadi is not atheism. They believe that there is a Supreme Lord. They just believe that he doesn't have a form. Atheism means they don't believe in any supreme power at all. No God.
Ultimately, it leads to atheism, bro. Or
no.
After many lifetimes, again they may turn to Krishna.
No, it says, like Bhagavatam says, these Nirakaravadis, they will go into Brahman, they'll come back to do social work in material world. That's all. And then they can go anywhere else.
What is their future like? What is their future like? They will be repeating like.
That's what. So they can achieve Brahman, then they come back, then they want to enter into social work. Now, after social work, what happens? That is their free will, how they misuse it or use it. There's no guarantee which direction they'll go. That is like any jiva, like wherever we can go anywhere.
Okay.
Arjuna has already accepted Krishna as his spiritual master by surrendering himself unto him. Shishyasteham shadimam tvam prapannam. Consequently, Krishna will now tell him about the working process. So this whole thing, Buddhi Yoga, here is being described as Karma Yoga. Working process is called Karma Yoga. Or in other words, now this is where it becomes interesting. Practice of devotional service only for the sense gratification of the Lord. Which means that we work, but we don't use the money for our sense gratification. We use the result of the karma to do yoga, which means to do devotional service. Okay. This Buddhi Yoga is clearly explained in chapter 10, verse 10, as being direct communion with the Lord, who is sitting as Paramatma in everyone's heart. What verse is this? This is Tesham Satadevtanam Bhajatam Priti Purukam Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam Yena Mam Upayanti Te. Tesham Satata Yuktanam. Always in connection. Bhajatam Priti Purukam Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam Yena Mam Upayanti Te. So here he's saying who is sitting as Paramatma in everyone's heart. But such communion does not take place without devotional service. One who is therefore situated in devotional or transcendental loving service to the Lord, or in other words in Krishna consciousness, attains to this stage of Buddhi Yoga by the special grace of the Lord. So here Prabhupada is saying that this yoga means actually connection with the Lord. And he's saying that doesn't happen, that communion doesn't happen unless one takes up to devotional service. The Lord says, therefore, that only to those who are always engaged in devotional service out of transcendental love does he award the pure knowledge of devotion in love. In that way, the devotee can reach him easily in the ever blissful kingdom of God. So basically, the whole idea here is by doing Buddhi Yoga, using intelligence in the working process, to achieve that communion, that connection, is the whole idea. So for the sense gratification of the Lord, which means that we should be in connection with the Lord. And that is only possible for those who are always engaged. Tesham satata yuktanam, satata yukta, dadami buddhi yogam. So basically Krishna gives the intelligence, right? What is Prabhupada translating? This is real intelligence. Here he is calling it as real intelligence or understanding by which they can come to me. So the whole idea is that buddhi has to be directed by the Lord. Intelligence has to be directed by the Lord to reach him. Now here, this process is defined as karma yoga. It could be karma yoga, it could then subsequently come directly to the direct path of bhakti yoga. Even in bhakti yoga, you need this dadami buddhi yogam. So buddhi yoga can mean karma yoga or it can mean directly bhakti yoga. Now what is the difference between karma yoga and bhakti yoga? Karma yoga means there is inclination to do karma. In bhakti yoga, there is no inclination to do karma. There is only inclination to do bhakti. Kevala bhakti. No karma, no gnana. But in either karma or bhakti, so the Lord gives us the real intelligence or the understanding to work such that we can please him, so that yoga happens. That okay?
Prabhu, what is the example of bhakti yoga? Is suppose some people who are in ashram.
No ashram. Navavida bhakti.
Like,
bhakti yoga is Navavida bhakti. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam.
That's okay, Prabhu. If it is not karma yoga, means everybody has to maintain their body, right? Then they have to have some profession and do their work, jobs, how that.
Not everybody, no. Only grihasthas will do that.
So
this karma yoga is only for grihasthas.
Okay, they cannot enter bhakti yoga, Prabhu, as long as they are in grihastha. Right?
Doing bhakti yoga, but grihasthas are doing both. As in, from karma also they are trying to do yoga, which is by using the results, not being attached to the work, doing it for the satisfaction of Krishna, etc., which we will discuss in 3rd and 5th chapter. And we're also engaging in direct activities of bhakti, Shravanam, Kirtanam, etc. Grihasthas are doing both, but it is not ideal. As in, because of the karma that is being done, the karma phala and then contamination, all that comes in, right? So if somebody is engaged only in bhakti, then there is no contamination from karma. Asat sangha, all this is not there for somebody who is engaged only in bhakti. But in grihastha dharma, if you are following varnashrama, then we have to earn for our livelihood. But then Bhagavatam says, what is the quality of that work? Savai pumsan paro dharmo yato bhakti darakshate ahavaituki apratyahataya atma suprasidati. It says that occupation should encourage attraction to, it should help develop attraction to hearing the message of the Lord. If occupation is not doing that, then it should be given up. But here it is said that, whatever karma you are doing, somehow you should do yoga. Of course, technically, karma doesn't include vikarma, which means non-approved activities, which means, okay, in the whole of Bhagavad Gita, karma basically refers to varnashrama dharma karma. Right? As per varnashrama dharma, doing your karma. Not whimsical, just take, no idea of varna, ashrama, guna, just do whatever work, right? Like that is not what is referred to in Bhagavad Gita. So here it actually means that you're doing your work as per your guna and karma, guna, and then you are, because then varnashrama is given by the Lord, then you don't live for sense gratification basically, right? You are doing your duty as per the Lord's desire, because that is varnashrama given by the Lord, Chaturvarnya Maya system. And then you basically don't engage the results in sense gratification. Then you please the Lord. That is yoga. But for us in Kali Yuga context, because there is no varnashrama, there is no understanding of varna, basically we are doing paradharma, maybe, we are doing somebody else's dharma, because we really don't know whatever guna is. So then the recommendation is what Srila Rupa Goswami taught us, right? Which is to use the results in the service of Krishna. Because the karma itself, it might not be ordained by the Lord as per varnashrama, so it can't directly please him, but then we use the result in devotional service. But here the last line is very clearly saying, but therefore that only to those who are always engaged in devotional service, out of transcendental love, does he award the pure knowledge of devotion in love. So not for somebody who is, dabbling with karma and trying to improve profession and this and that and all that, then Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam will not happen. Maybe we are just stuck in avidya and agnana and that's it. If Lord has to give Dadami Buddhi Yogam to come to him, that means one must be actually Satata Yuktana, continuously engaged in his service. That okay?
Yes, bro.
Thus the Bhakti Buddhi Yoga mentioned in this verse is the devotional service of the Lord.
Roji, sorry to interrupt. Yeah. So currently we are using contaminated intelligence.
Depends on one's level of purity. Okay, what is contaminated, what is pure? If we are living for sense gratification, then it's contaminated. If you're using, if there's no sense of sense gratification, then it's pure, as in the service of the Lord.
Okay. So how do we understand that knowledge is given by the Lord? Or it is our intelligence?
Which knowledge?
In our practice, any thought is, suppose it is coming, is it because of my limited intelligence, or is it because the pure knowledge given by the Lord in the heart?
No, but he will not give us knowledge necessarily about our work and how to achieve our goals and all that.
Not related to that, related to devotion.
Yeah, related to devotion. If so, what is an example of knowledge which? Okay, so how do I explain? Okay, so suppose now when we are reading Bhagavad Gita, right? There are so many instructions that are there in front of us, right? Now you're reading, Prabhupada is giving all the shiksha, gnana, then we are reading all that, we have so many things. Now, what is it that is most important for an individual who practice at that stage in his bhakti or in his or her bhakti? Who is saying that? Who is giving that? So technically, okay, ideally, like guru should be telling, or somebody who's guiding is telling. But there are also cases where we engage in certain activities of bhakti, which is purely somewhat like internally motivated, right? Like suppose we decide, okay, from tomorrow I should get up at 4 o'clock, right? If it comes in us suddenly out of nowhere, then it is Lord's direction.
Okay.
Because see, what is important, what we should understand is what is the next step that I need to do to progress in bhakti. If it comes as an inspiration from within, suddenly out of nowhere, that is clearly the Lord's mercy.
Right.
Okay, thus the Buddhi Yoga mentioned in this verse is devotional service to the Lord, and the word Sankhya mentioned here has nothing to do with the atheistic Sankhya Yoga enunciated by the impostor Kapila. One should not therefore misunderstand that the Sankhya Yoga mentioned here has any connection with the atheistic Sankhya, nor did that philosophy have any influence during that time, nor would Lord Krishna care to mention such godless philosophical speculations. Real Sankhya philosophy is described by Lord Kapila in the Srimad Bhagavatam, but even that Sankhya has nothing with the current topics. Here Sankhya means analytical description of the body and the soul. Lord Krishna made an analytical description of the soul just to bring Arjuna to the point of Buddhi Yoga or Bhakti Yoga. Therefore, Lord Krishna Sankhya and Lord Kapila Sankhya are described as are one and the same. Prabhupada is saying there's nothing to do with the current topics, but it is one and the same. Why? Because they're all Bhakti Yoga. Because that is also Bhakti Yoga, this is also Bhakti Yoga. Lord Krishna said, therefore, that only the less intelligent class of men make a distinction between Sankhya and Bhakti. So it's just clarifying what Sankhya means. Here, Sankhya is basically analytical description of body and soul. And why is that same as Kapila's, Lord Kapila's Sankhya? Because Lord Kapila's Sankhya was also Bhakti Yoga. And this also, this analytical description, because it was meant to take Arjuna to Bhakti Yoga, that both of them are one and the same because the goals are the same, is to come to Bhakti Yoga.
What is this imposter Kapila Sankhya philosophy? What is the context here?
Kapila is one of the Shaddarshanas. Okay, let me show you one. So this is the overall Shruti and Smriti. This is all the Vedic knowledge that exists. Okay, there's two parts. There's Shruti and Smriti. Shruti has Vedas, Rigveda, Yajurveda, Sama, and Atharva. Each Veda has Samhita, Brahmana, Aranyaka, and Upanishad. And then there are Upavedas like Dhanurveda, Ayurveda. Then there are Vedangas, which are like, Vyakarana, Jyotisha, and all this Chandas. This is all Vedanga. Okay, now this Shruti is given directly by the Lord. It is heard and it doesn't change. Words also remain the same. Okay, Smriti is composed by sages. Now these are not important sages. Wordings might change from age to age. Now in this there are multiple. There are ritual shastra sutras, then there are tantras, then pancharatras, Purana, Itihasa, then this 6 darshana, Shad Darshana. Prabhupada says that one who before one sits on the Vyasasana, they should have mastered all this. So Vedanta is what we are discussing, right? Given by Vyasadeva, which is theology of Upanishads, meaning it's connecting to God. Then there is, I have not very deeply studied this, Mimamsa, Karma Mimamsa, Nyaya, Vaisheshika. Vaisheshika is like briefly, no, that is Vaibhashika. Vaisheshika is Kannada existence, yoga, and then Sankhya. So this Sankhya here is what Prabhupada is referring to as atheistic Kapila. Apparently, it is just description of the metaphysics of the different elements of this creation without reference to the creator. So that is why it is atheistic. So they just describe metaphysics. It's like science. Sankhya can be looked at as science, right? Where there is discussion about all these material elements, how is it formed, this, that, but no controller, no creator. That is atheistic Sankhya.
Okay. Bro, one question. So Vedanta is coming under 6 darshanas, right? And so this Vedanta and then Vedanta Sutras, and I think the commentary on Vedanta Sutras is Srimad Bhagavatam, right?
Yeah.
So is this Vedanta something related to Vedas or Vedangas, or it is completely different than that?
Not Vedangas, not Vedangas. It is referring to, it is the Anta of the Vedas. Basically, every Veda has Upanishad. Now, Upanishad is the Gnana Kanda of all the Vedas. All the 4 Vedas have Upanishads. Okay. Yeah, each Veda has different Upanishads. There are totally 108 Upanishads.
Yeah.
Out of which almost like some 11 of them are main, and Yajurveda has a maximum of the Upanishads, some 51 or something. So there are multiple Upanishads. Now, Vedanta is actually the aphorisms, right? Cryptic representation of the theology in the Upanishads.
Yeah.
Right? But it is so cryptic that nobody can understand. So Vyas, who is the author of Vedanta, himself came and expanded it into Bhagavatam.
Yeah. Yeah. So my question was that this Vedanta is coming from Upanishads. So Upanishads are Shruti, and this is coming under Smriti. So
Correct.
how to understand that? Because if it is the expansion of Upanishads,
The expansion, actually, it is actually summarizing. It's actually it's like sutras, like formulas, right? Like, so Upanishad has so much of gnana. From there, Vedavyas has taken whatever is important for somebody to understand the whole Upanishads, the knowledge of the Upanishads. So it's very cryptic. It's like Athato Brahma Jignasa. Now, what does it mean? Right now, how Vyasadeva came up with that is the knowledge from all the Upanishads. So it's difficult to understand. It is like, actually, it can be thought of as summary of the Upanishads.
Yeah.
Right, but that's very cryptic because it's now huge base of knowledge is now crunched into few aphorisms, right? So then to make it understandable, because Vedas, you have to be twice born for us to be able to read Vedas and understand, etc. So he gives Puranas because 3 Vaishya Tata, Brahma Bandhus, everybody can understand. So the same knowledge he expanded as Purana. Of course, atheistic Sankhya Yoga has nothing to do with Bhakti Yoga. Yet the unintelligent claim that the atheistic Sankhya Yoga is referred to in Bhakti Yoga. Anyway, that's okay. One should therefore understand that Buddhi Yoga means to work in Krishna consciousness, in the full bliss and knowledge of devotional service. To work in Krishna consciousness, meaning that not to work in sense gratification consciousness. Right? So the consciousness is important. One who works for the satisfaction of the Lord, only however difficult such work may be, is working under the principle of Buddhi Yoga and finds himself always in transcendental bliss. Now, of course, this may not be referring to Karma Yoga here, right? Prabhupada is talking about direct Bhakti Yoga, where you might be doing something very difficult for the Lord. But however difficult such work is, it gives transcendental bliss. By such transcendental engagement, one achieves all transcendental understanding automatically. This is that Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam. And thus his liberation is complete in itself without his making extraneous endeavors to acquire knowledge. We don't need to struggle to get knowledge. All we have to do is just engage in the service of the Lord. And then Lord will give the Dadami Buddhi Yogam. There is much difference between work in Krishna consciousness and work for fruitive results, especially in the matter of sense gratification, for achieving the results in terms of family or material happiness. And there is much difference, because work in Krishna consciousness means work for the pleasure of Krishna, use the results in Krishna's service, and no sense gratification, not for sense gratification, for just maintenance of the body and soul together. Buddhi Yoga is therefore the transcendental quality of work that we perform. The transcendental quality, meaning there is no mundane quality. There's no material quality in our work. Meaning that we work only for the pleasure of Krishna. So, of course, while here there is, like I said, so Prabhupada talks about this as Karma Yoga as well as Bhakti Yoga. Future verses kind of, talk more on more about Bhakti Yoga, because see, Karma Yoga, in Karma Yoga, there is some inclination to do karma. So we work. Okay, but we work till that inclination goes. And of course, then we should also be aware of how to manage our living, etc. Right? So, and because in Kali Yuga, mostly Grihasthas will engage both in Karma Yoga and Bhakti Yoga. Prabhupada is highlighting both. Okay, but the direction is clearly Kevala Bhakti. Right? Though this verse is talking about both working in Krishna consciousness, right? Now, working for Krishna, working directly for Krishna, working indirectly for Krishna, right? Working for ourselves, as in working outside to earn money, is working indirectly for Krishna, because you then use the result. Now, the only problem with this is how much of that we use for Krishna, right? Otherwise, because there is money and Shudra should not be given money, and Kali Yuga is Kalau Shudra Sambhavaha, money gets used and in sense gratification. So both have to be looked at, saying that karma that we are doing, work that we are doing, money that we are earning is not for sense gratification, is used in the service of Krishna. And we also engage in direct action activities of Bhakti Yoga. It's a very heavy verse. But this kind of sets the tone for everything else going forward, which comes next verses.
So only the intention decides, is it? Whether the yoga is karma or bhakti? Like in Bhakti Yoga also there is activities involved.
No, activities are different. Right? See, that is why when Prabhupada talks about Bhakti Yoga, so here, for example, he's saying Bhakti Yoga mentioned is devotional service of the Lord. And also here he's saying Buddhi Yoga means to work in Krishna consciousness. So these are two different, right? One is Karma Yoga, one is Bhakti Yoga. So the nature of work, transcendental quality of work. Now, if the work is directly Bhakti Yoga, then anyway it's transcendental. Right? But even if the work is mundane, then the consciousness and how the results are used, both create the transcendental quality of the work.
Okay. Yes, please. And also in this purport, Prabhupada mentions like when we engage in transcendental service, then transcendental knowledge is revealed.
Yes.
Even after when one becomes Krishna consciousness, Prabhupada mentions, I think in first paragraph, when one becomes Krishna consciousness, by special grace of the Lord, this knowledge is revealed.
Yeah, that is Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam.
By knowledge we engage in the transcendental service. Right? It's
necessary. So there are multiple ways by which people come into Krishna consciousness, right? That is why we focus on preaching for people who are knowledge seekers, right? Where they want to learn, understand, and then come. But there are so many people who just come because somebody just called them to the temple and said, just come. There is, Balram Purnima tomorrow, day after tomorrow, just come to the temple. That's it. They came and then somebody said, okay, you have to start chanting. They just started chanting. That's it. There is no gnana.
Okay.
Right? Now, of course, see, this practice also, if it is pure and if it is Ahitukya Pratyata, then Krishna will reveal, because they don't have any knowledge, right? But Krishna will reveal all the knowledge from within. And of course, also as the spiritual master from outside.
Okay.
Knowledge is not a prerequisite for, that is why, Vasudeva Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayukta, Janaiti Ashu Vairagyam, Gnanam Cha Yadahitukam. Right? So, knowledge is also comes from Bhakti.
Right.